The vast expanse of space stretched out before the Zorgan flagship, stellar dominance. Its sleek silver hull gleamed under the light of distant stars. On the bridge, Supreme Commander Zix stood tall, his four eyes scanning the holographic displays surrounding him. The Zorgans were the undisputed masters of the Milky Way, or so they believed. Another primitive world, ripe for conquest, Zix muttered, his tentacles twitching with anticipation. The planet Earth rotated slowly on the main screen, its blue and green surface looking fragile and unsuspecting. Second-in-command Vera slithered up beside him. Supreme Commander, our scans show their technology is centuries behind ours. They haven't even colonized their own solar system yet. Zix let out a booming laugh that echoed through the bridge. The crew, a mix of various alien species serving under Zorgan rule, flinched at the sound. Pathetic, he sneered. Show me their best weapon. With a wave of her tentacle, Vera brought up an image of Earth's most advanced fighter jet. It looked like a toy compared to the Zorgan ships. They call it a stealth fighter, but our sensors detected it instantly, she reported, her voice dripping with disdain. Stealth? Ha! Zix mocked. They wouldn't know true stealth if it hit them in their primitive faces. The bridge erupted in sycophantic laughter. As the Zorgan fleet approached Earth's solar system, they intercepted countless radio and television signals. The Supreme Commander ordered them displayed on the main screen. Curious about the creatures they were about to subjugate, images flashed before them. Humans going about their daily lives, news reports of wars and politics, mindless entertainment shows. Zix watched with growing contempt. Look at them, squabbling over their tiny patches of land, oblivious to the true vastness of the galaxy. One of the junior officers, a recent addition to the fleet, spoke up hesitantly. But Supreme Commander, some of their scientific theories seem quite advanced. They're on the verge of several breakthroughs. Zix turned his penetrating gaze on the young officer, who immediately regretted speaking. On the verge, the Supreme Commander hissed. We achieved those breakthroughs millennia ago. Their most brilliant minds would be considered simpleton children in our civilization. To demonstrate his point, Zix ordered a sampling of human scientific journals to be displayed. He read through them at lightning speed, his highly evolved brain processing the information instantly. Laughable, he declared. They're still debating the nature of dark matter, something we've been manipulating for eons. As they entered the outer reaches of the solar system, the fleet passed by human space probes, tiny, primitive machines drifting through the void. Zix ordered one brought aboard for closer inspection. In the ship's laboratory, scientists pored over the Voyager probe. They snickered at its outdated technology, mocking the golden record attached to its side. They thought this would communicate with alien life. One scientist chortled, holding up the disk. Zix crushed the record in his powerful grip. This is what we're up against, he announced to his crew. A species so naive, so technologically backward, that they think a disk of metal could represent their civilization. As Earth grew larger on their view screens, the Zorgans prepared for their grand entrance. They would darken the skies with their ships, a show of force to overwhelm, and terrify the humans into immediate surrender. Send the message to all their world leaders, Zix commanded. Let them know that resistance is futile, that their planet now belongs to the Zorgan Empire. The crew cheered, already anticipating an easy victory and the spoils that would come with it. None of them could have imagined that deep beneath the Earth's surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, humanity was preparing a surprise that would shake the galaxy to its core. As the first Zorgan ships entered Earth's atmosphere, Supreme Commander Zix allowed himself a satisfied smile. Soon, this insignificant blue planet would be just another jewel in the vast Zorgan Empire. Or so he thought. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a top-secret facility known only as Shadowbox, humanity's greatest minds were hard at work. The facility hummed with activity, a stark contrast to the serene mountain landscape above. Dr. Sarah Chen, lead scientist of Project Phantom, stood before a massive holographic display. Her eyes, tired from countless sleepless nights, scanned the complex schematics of Earth's most ambitious creation, an invisible warship. "Run the stealth test again," she ordered, her voice firm despite her exhaustion. Her team, a diverse group of scientists and engineers from around the world, sprang into action. In the center of the cavernous main chamber stood their masterpiece. To the naked eye, it appeared to be nothing more than empty space. But as the team activated various systems, shimmering outlines briefly revealed the true nature of the void. A ship of unprecedented power and technology. Lieutenant Jake Harper, the young pilot chosen to lead Phantom's maiden voyage, approached Dr. Chen. "How's she looking, Doc?" he asked, unable to hide the excitement in his voice. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "We're almost there, Jake. The quantum camouflage is holding steady. As far as any known sensors are concerned, this ship simply doesn't exist." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. General Maria Ramirez, the project's military overseer, rushed into the chamber. Her face was grim as she announced, "It's happening. Multiple unknown objects have entered the solar system. They're not responding to any attempts at communication." The room fell silent. They had hoped for more time, but the moment they had prepared for was finally here. Dr. Chen turned to her team. "This is what we've been working towards, people. Phantom is no longer a project. It's our last line of defense." She nodded to Lieutenant Harper. "Jake, assemble your crew. We're launching ahead of schedule." As the chosen crew members took their positions inside the invisible ship, Dr. Chen made last-minute checks. The ship's heart was a revolutionary fusion reactor, capable of powering both the advanced weaponry and the complex stealth systems. "Remember," she told Jake, "the quantum camouflage isn't just about being invisible. It bends light, radar, and even gravity around the ship. As long as it's active, you're essentially a ghost." Jake nodded, his training kicking in as he pushed aside his nerves. "What about weapons?" he asked. Dr. Chen's eyes gleamed with pride. "You've got the latest in plasma cannons, gravity disruptors, and a few surprises we cooked up. Use them wisely. Each time you fire, there's a microsecond where you might be detected." As the crew strapped in, General Ramirez addressed them via video link. "Men and women of Phantom, the fate of our world rests in your hands. These aliens think we're defenseless, primitive. Show them how wrong they are." The massive underground hangar doors began to open. Phantom powered up, its engines a mere whisper despite their immense power. As the ship rose, those left behind could only track it through the special tablets they held, watching as the icon representing Earth's hope rose towards the stars. In the New Mexico desert, old Bob Johnson stood on his porch, watching the night sky. A flicker of movement caught his eye. Like a heat mirage, but in the cool night air. He blinked, and it was gone. "Huh," he muttered. "Must be getting old." Little did Bob know, he had just witnessed humanity's secret weapon beginning its journey to confront the alien threat. Aboard Phantom, Jake and his crew felt the weight of their responsibility. Years of training had prepared them for this moment, but facing an unknown alien force was something no one could truly be ready for. "All right, team," Jake said, his voice steady. "Let's show these aliens that humanity isn't to be underestimated. Engage quantum camouflage and set course for the outer solar system." As Phantom accelerated, effortlessly breaking free of Earth's atmosphere, the crew watched their home planet shrink behind them. The vast expanse of space stretched out before them, holding both danger and opportunity. In the distance, the first glimmers of the alien fleet could be seen. Unaware that Earth's invisible defender was speeding towards them, ready to turn the tables on their would-be conquerors. The stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of humanity and its place in the galactic order. And as Phantom silently closed in on its unsuspecting targets, one thing was certain: the aliens were in for one hell of a surprise. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with panic. World leaders from every nation had gathered for an emergency session as the alien fleet entered Earth's orbit. The massive view screens showed live footage of the Zorgan ships, their sleek forms blotting out the stars. Secretary General Amina Okafor stood at the podium, her usually calm demeanor strained. "Ladies and gentlemen, we faced the greatest crisis in human history. The aliens have issued their ultimatum. Surrender or be destroyed." The hall erupted in chaos. Some leaders called for immediate surrender, while others demanded a fight to the last human. In the midst of the uproar, U.S. President Emily Turner stood up. "We have one card left to play," she announced, her voice cutting through the noise. The room fell silent, a weapon that could turn the tide. But using it means revealing our best-kept secret and potentially starting a war we might not win. As murmurs spread through the assembly, the Russian president, Nikolai Volkov, scoffed. "A secret weapon. Against that." He pointed at the screen showing the vast alien armada. "It would be like throwing pebbles at a tank." President Turner's eyes narrowed. "Not just any weapon, Nikolai. Something that could change everything." Meanwhile, aboard the Zorgan flagship, Supreme Commander Zix watched the humans with amusement. Their primitive communication systems were child's play to intercept. "Look at them squabble." He chuckled to his second-in-command, Vira. "They can't even agree on how to surrender properly." Vira's tentacles twitched nervously. "Supreme Commander, shouldn't we be concerned about this secret weapon they mentioned?" Zix let out a booming laugh. "Concerned? About anything these apes could create? Don't be ridiculous, Vira. Their most advanced technology is centuries behind our most obsolete systems." Back on Earth, in a secure bunker beneath the White House, President Turner met with her top military advisors. General Ramirez, freshly arrived from Shadowbox, gave them a rapid briefing on Project Phantom. "It's our only shot," Ramirez concluded. "Phantom can penetrate their defenses undetected and strike before they know what hit them." The Joint Chiefs exchanged worried glances. Admiral Johnson spoke up. "But if we attack first, we're starting an interstellar war. Are we ready for that?" President Turner's face was grim. "They've already started the war, Admiral. The question is, do we fight back or roll over?" After hours of tense debate, a decision was reached. President Turner returned to the UN Assembly to address the world. "People of Earth," she began, her voice broadcast globally, "we stand at a crossroads. The choice before us is clear: submission or defiance. I say we choose defiance." Cheers erupted from some delegations, while others shouted in protest. Turner raised her hand for silence. "We have a chance, a single arrow aimed at the heart of the alien threat. I won't deceive you. This action will have consequences. But I ask you, what is the price of freedom? What is the cost of our dignity as a species?" As Turner spoke, the Phantom and its crew silently slipped out of Earth's atmosphere. Lieutenant Jake Harper's palms were sweaty on the controls, but his voice was steady as he addressed his team. "All right, people. This is what we trained for. Earth's counting on us. Let's show these aliens that humanity's got some teeth." In orbit, the Zorgan fleet prepared to launch their first strike, a show of force to terrify the humans into submission. Supreme Commander Zix gave the order with relish. "Target their largest cities," he commanded. "Let's show these primitives the price of defiance." But as the Zorgan weapons powered up, a flicker of movement caught Vera's eye on the sensor displays. She blinked, unsure if she had really seen anything. "Supreme Commander," she said hesitantly, "I think I saw something." Zix waved a tentacle dismissively. "Impossible. Our sensors are infallible. Prepare to fire." As the alien weapons reached full power, tension on Earth reached its breaking point. In the UN Assembly, in homes and shelters across the globe, humans held their breath, waiting for either salvation or destruction. Little did they know, their invisible champion was about to strike, carrying with it the hopes and future of all humanity. The Phantom glided silently through space, invisible to both human and alien eyes. Inside the ship, Lieutenant Jake Harper's heart raced as they approached the massive Zorgan fleet. His crew worked in tense silence, each member acutely aware of the weight of their mission. "Weapons hot," Jake ordered, his voice steady despite the pressure. "Remember, we got one shot at this. Make it count." As they neared the alien armada, the true scale of the Zorgan ships became apparent. The Phantom, impressive as it was, seemed tiny in comparison to the behemoths they were about to engage. "Holy cow," whispered Sarah, the weapons officer. "It's like gnats attacking elephants." Jake allowed himself a small smile. "Yeah, but these gnats pack one hell of a sting." Aboard the Zorgan flagship, Supreme Commander Zix was preparing to launch the first strike against Earth. His tentacles danced over the control panels, eager to demonstrate his species' superiority. "Commence the attack," he bellowed. "Show these primitives the folly of their—" His words were cut short by a sudden, violent explosion. One of the Zorgan ships at the edge of the fleet erupted in a ball of plasma fire. What in the name of the seven moons was that? Zix roared, his four eyes widening in shock. Before anyone could respond, another ship exploded, then another. Panic spread through the Zorgan fleet like wildfire. Back on the Phantom, Jake and his crew watched with a mixture of awe and satisfaction as their advanced weapons tore through the alien defenses. "Gravity disruptors functioning perfectly," reported the science officer. "Their shields can't compensate for the localized space-time distortions." Jake nodded, his focus intense. "Keep it up. Don't give them time to regroup." The Phantom danced through the Zorgan fleet, its quantum camouflage rendering it completely invisible. Each precision strike left destruction in its wake, the aliens unable to pinpoint the source of the attacks. On the Zorgan flagship, chaos reigned. Alarms blared as ship after ship reported critical damage. "Impossible," Zix screamed, his composure shattered. "How can this be happening? Where are they attacking from?" Vera, his second-in-command, frantically scanned the sensor readings. "Supreme Commander, I can't detect anything. It's as if we're being attacked by a ghost." As the battle raged on, word of the Phantom's success reached Earth. In the UN Assembly Hall, cheers erupted as video feeds showed the alien fleet in disarray. President Turner allowed herself a moment of hope. "It's working," she breathed. "We might actually have a chance." But the Zorgans weren't defeated yet. As the initial shock wore off, they began to adapt. Zix, his earlier arrogance replaced by cold fury, barked orders. "Spread out. Fire in all directions. They can't be invisible to particle beams." The space around the Zorgan fleet lit up with a web of energy beams, creating a deadly net for the Phantom to navigate. Inside Earth's invisible defender, warning alarms blared. "They're saturating the area with particle beams," the science officer reported, her voice tense. "One hit could overload our camouflage." Jake's mind raced, searching for a solution. They had dealt significant damage, but the core of the Zorgan fleet remained intact. If they retreated now, Earth would still be at risk. "We need to take out their flagship," he decided. "Cut off the head, and the body will fall." It was a risky plan. The Zorgan flagship was at the center of the fleet, surrounded by a wall of energy beams and debris from destroyed ships. Reaching it would require threading a needle through a minefield. "Plot me a course," Jake ordered. "Use the debris for cover where you can." As the Phantom began its perilous journey to the heart of the alien fleet, Jake opened a channel to Earth. "This is Lieutenant Harper. We've bloodied their nose, but we're going for the knockout punch. If we don't make it, it's been an honor serving humanity." The Phantom accelerated, weaving through the chaos of battle. On Earth and in space, humans and aliens alike held their breath, watching as the fate of two civilizations hung in the balance. The invisible warship charged towards its final target, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of an entire planet. The real battle was about to begin. Supreme Commander Zix's four eyes darted frantically across the holographic displays surrounding him. The Zorgan flagship shuddered as another nearby vessel exploded, victim to an unseen attacker. Alarms blared ceaselessly, adding to the chaos on the bridge. "This is impossible," Zix roared, his tentacles flailing in frustration. "How can one primitive species possess technology that surpasses our own?" Vera, his second-in-command, worked tirelessly at her console. "Supreme Commander, we've lost 30% of our fleet. Our sensors still can't detect the enemy vessel." Zix's expression morphed from confusion to rage. "Unacceptable. Redirect all power to our detection systems. I want that ship found." As the Zorgans scrambled to locate the Phantom, Lieutenant Jake Harper and his crew continued their assault. The invisible warship weaved through the debris of destroyed alien vessels, using the chaos as additional cover. "Status report," Jake called out, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. Sarah, the weapons officer, responded quickly. "Plasma cannons at 70% capacity. Gravity disruptors still operational, but power levels are dropping." Jake nodded grimly. They had inflicted significant damage, but the Phantom systems were feeling the strain of prolonged combat. "We need to end this soon," he muttered. Suddenly, the ship rocked violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. "What was that?" Jake demanded, steadying himself in his chair. The science officer's voice was tense. "They've saturated the area with some kind of energy field. Our quantum camouflage is fluctuating." For a brief moment, the Phantom flickered into visibility amidst the Zorgan fleet. On the alien flagship, a junior officer let out a triumphant screech. "Supreme Commander, we've detected them." Zix's eyes gleamed with malicious joy. "At last. All ships, concentrate fire on those coordinates." The space around the Phantom erupted with energy beams and plasma bolts. Jake and his crew fought to maintain control as their ship was bombarded from all sides. "Evasive maneuvers," Jake ordered. "Redirect power from non-essential systems to the camouflage." The Phantom dove and weaved, narrowly avoiding the barrage of alien weaponry. But with each near miss, the strain on the ship's systems increased. Back on Earth, tension in the UN Assembly Hall was palpable. The video feed showed the sudden barrage against an empty point in space, the only indication of the Phantom's position. President Turner gripped the edges of her podium, knuckles white. "Come on," she whispered. "You can do this." In space, the battle reached a fever pitch. The Zorgans, emboldened by their brief sighting of the enemy, pressed their attack with renewed vigor. But their tactics were uncoordinated, driven by desperation rather than strategy. Jake saw an opportunity in their chaos. "They're leaving gaps in their formation," he observed. "If we can get past their outer defenses, we might have a clear shot at their flagship." It was a risky plan, but they were running out of options. The Phantom systems were approaching critical levels, and they couldn't evade the Zorgans forever. "All hands, brace for impact," Jake announced. "We're going to let them hit us." His crew looked at him in shock, but there was no time for questions. The Phantom ceased its evasive maneuvers, taking several direct hits. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring. But the gambit worked. The Zorgans, believing they had seriously damaged their opponent, began to cluster around the Phantom's last known position. "Now," Jake shouted, "full power to engines." The Phantom surged forward, its quantum camouflage flickering but holding. They shot through the gap in the Zorgan formation, straight towards the heart of the alien fleet. Zix, realizing too late what was happening, could only watch in horror as the invisible ship approached. "No," he screamed. "All ships, protect the flagship." But his orders came too late. The Phantom had a clear shot at the Zorgan command ship. Jake's voice was steady as he gave the order. "Target their main reactor. Fire everything we've got." The Phantom decloaked, revealing itself in all its technological glory to the stunned Zorgans. Its weapon systems glowed with power, aimed directly at the alien flagship. In that moment, as human ingenuity faced off against alien arrogance, the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The Phantom fired, unleashing a devastating barrage against the heart of the Zorgan fleet. The battle's outcome would determine not just the fate of humanity, but its place in the galactic order. and as energy weapons lit up the void of space, both sides knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The vacuum of space lit up with a dazzling display of energy as the Phantom unleashed its full arsenal upon the Zorgan flagship. Lieutenant Jake Harper watched with bated breath as the barrage of advanced human weapons streaked towards their target. Direct hit. Sarah, the weapons officer, shouted triumphantly. The Zorgan flagship shuddered under the impact, its shields flickering and failing. Explosions blossomed across its hull, spreading like a fiery virus through the massive alien vessel. On the bridge of the dying ship, Supreme Commander Zix stared in disbelief at the destruction unfolding around him. Sparks flew from shattered consoles, and the acrid smell of burning alien technology filled the air. "Impossible," Zix muttered, his once proud voice now barely a whisper. "We are the Zorgans. We cannot be defeated by apes." Vera, loyal to the end, approached her commander. "Supreme Commander, we must abandon ship. The reactor is going critical." But Zix seemed not to hear her, his 4 eyes fixed on the viewscreen showing the Phantom. The human ship hung in space, visible now that it had expended so much energy in its attack. It looked small, almost fragile, yet it had brought low the mighty Zorgan armada. As the flagship began to break apart, the rest of the Zorgan fleet fell into disarray. Without central command, some ships attempted to continue the fight, while others began to flee. Aboard the Phantom, Jake and his crew allowed themselves a moment of cautious celebration. They had struck a decisive blow, but the battle wasn't over yet. "Status report," Jake called out, his voice hoarse from hours of giving orders. "Weapons at 15% capacity," Sarah reported. "Quantum camouflage is offline. Hull integrity holding at 60%. Jake nodded grimly. They had given almost everything in that last attack. "What about the Zorgans?" The science officer, her eyes glued to her screens, responded. "Their flagship is breaking up. The rest of the fleet is in chaos. Some are still fighting, but many are retreating." Jake made a quick decision. "Target the remaining hostile ships. Let's finish this." The Phantom moved through the battlefield like a predator, picking off the confused and leaderless Zorgan ships one by one. Each precision strike further demoralized the alien forces, until finally, the last fighting ship turned tail and fled. As the remnants of the once mighty Zorgan fleet disappeared into the depths of space, a stunned silence fell over the Phantom's bridge. They had done it. They had actually won. Jake opened a channel to Earth. "Mission Control, this is the Phantom. The Zorgan flagship has been destroyed, and their fleet is in full retreat. Earth is safe." The response was immediate, President Turner's voice filled with emotion. "Lieutenant Harper, you and your crew have saved humanity. You're heroes, every one of you." Cheers erupted from the Phantom's crew, the tension of battle finally giving way to joy and relief. They had faced an overwhelmingly superior force and emerged victorious. As news of the victory spread across Earth, celebrations broke out in every city, town, and village. Humans of all nations, races, and creeds came together, united in their triumph and their newfound place in the galaxy. In the UN Assembly Hall, world leaders who had been at each other's throats mere hours ago now embraced, tears of joy streaming down their faces. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with alien life, but had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. President Turner addressed the assembly, her voice carrying to every corner of the globe. "Today, we have shown the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. We faced extinction and instead achieved our greatest victory. But this is not the end. It's a new beginning." As the Phantom made its way back to Earth, Jake looked out at the star-filled expanse of space. The galaxy suddenly seemed a lot bigger, full of both dangers and opportunities. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and nothing would ever be the same. The invisible ship that had saved Earth was no longer just a weapon or a secret project. It was a symbol of human ingenuity, courage, and the indomitable spirit that had allowed a primitive species to defeat one of the galaxy's greatest powers. As they approached their home planet, Jake smiled. "Take us home," he said softly. "I think we've all earned a rest." The Phantom, battered but unbroken, descended towards Earth, carrying with it the promise of a new era for humanity, an era where the stars themselves were no longer out of reach. 5 years had passed since humanity's stunning victory over the Zorgan fleet. Earth had changed dramatically in that time, transformed by the influx of alien technology and the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe. The United Nations Space Command, UNSC, headquarters in Geneva buzzed with activity. Admiral Jake Harper, formerly lieutenant, strode through the corridors, his uniform adorned with medals commemorating the historic battle. As Jake entered the main control room, he was greeted by a sight that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Humans worked side by side with representatives from a dozen alien species, all united in their efforts to maintain peace in the galaxy. "Admiral on deck," someone called out, and the room snapped to attention. Jake waved them back to their duties. "At ease, everyone. What's our status?" Dr. Sarah Chen, now head of xenotechnology research, approached with a holographic display. "Admiral, we've detected an unusual energy signature at the edge of the solar system. It matches the profile of a Zorgan long-range scout." Jake's expression hardened. "Are they back for round 2? Sarah shook her head. "I don't think so. The ship is alone and seems to be transmitting on all frequencies. It might be a messenger." As they discussed the situation, a communications officer interrupted. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They're requesting an emergency session with Earth's representatives." Jake nodded. "Looks like our day just got interesting. Inform President Turner and prepare my ship." An hour later, Jake found himself aboard the Phantom II, an upgraded version of the ship that had saved humanity. As they approached the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the newly formed Galactic Council, Jake couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Earth's victory over the Zorgans had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Many alien races, long oppressed by the Zorgans, saw humanity as liberators. Others viewed them with a mixture of fear and respect. Either way, humans were now major players in galactic politics. As Jake and his team entered the council chambers, they were greeted by a cacophony of alien languages, all translated seamlessly by their advanced communicators. Representatives from hundreds of worlds filled the vast amphitheater. The Galactic Council leader, a towering crystalline being known as Kyler, called for silence. "Esteemed representatives, we have called this emergency session to address a grave matter. The Zorgan Empire, which we thought defeated, has reemerged on the galactic stage." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembly. Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. Sedlor continued, "They come not with weapons, but with words. The Zorgan leadership is requesting a peace treaty, with Earth as the mediator." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives cheered at the prospect of lasting peace, while others shouted accusations of Zorgan trickery. Jake stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise. "Members of the Council, I understand your concerns. The Zorgans were once the scourge of the galaxy. But if there's a chance for peace, don't we owe it to ourselves to try?" He paused, looking around the room. 5 years ago, humanity was unknown to the galaxy. We were attacked, deemed insignificant, but we proved that determination and ingenuity could overcome even the mightiest foe. Now we have the chance to prove something even greater, that forgiveness and diplomacy can be stronger than any weapon. As Jake spoke, the mood in the chamber began to shift. Even those who had been most vocal against the idea fell silent, considering his words. Zaylor nodded approvingly. "Well said, Admiral Harper. The Council will vote on whether to proceed with peace negotiations. Earth's role as mediator is crucial, given your unique history with the Zorgans." As the voting commenced, Jake couldn't help but marvel at how far humanity had come. From a species on the brink of extinction to key players in galactic peace talks, it was almost too incredible to believe. The results of the vote flashed across the chamber screens. Agreement to proceed with peace negotiations, with Earth as the mediator. Jake took a deep breath. The real work was just beginning. Bridging the gap between humanity's former enemies and the rest of the galaxy would be a monumental task. But as he looked around at the diverse array of alien species, all working together despite their differences, he felt a surge of hope. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, not just through force of arms, but through the strength of its spirit. As the council session adjourned and preparations for the peace talks began, Jake knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would face them with the same determination and creativity that had saved them from extinction. The galaxy was entering a new era, and humanity was at the forefront. The future, vast and unknown, beckoned with infinite possibilities.